Yo, what's up YouTube, it's Salty, and today I'm going to be updating the high round strategy guide on the map Liberty Falls. So to get straight into it, this is the loadout I'd recommend that you use. I'd recommend using the GS45 pistols with these attachments right here. As well as that, I'd recommend spawning in with Frenzy Guard. This is going to be useful for the early round strategy. Then afterwards, I'd recommend switching to Energy Mine. You can do this via the pause menu, and this is going to be useful for the high round strat. There are going to be a few really useful augments you can run throughout this strategy, the first of which is going to be Free Fall and Stamina Up. This is going to make it so that if you fall off the bank rooftop on accident, you'll be able to take no damage. The next one's Hardened Plates and Juggernaut. You'll be able to withstand a lot of hits from the zombies whilst you're camping with the Jetgun with this augment. After that, Supercharged on Speed Call is going to be really useful for getting more energy mines. Of course, Picky Eater on Vulturade for spamming Casimirs throughout your whole game. Then, when you're running Frenzy Guard for the early round strat, I'd recommend Frenzy Fire and Extension. Afterwards, I'd recommend Turret and Frequency Boost on Energy Mine. You can have up to 3 energy turrets down on the map at once, and they do actually take out the Manglers quite fast on high rounds. There are going to be 3 doors that you need to keep closed for this strategy, the first of which is going to be the zipline at the back of the bank rooftop. You can open up all the other ziplines on the rooftop, but if you open this one up, it creates more spawns and slows the strategy down drastically. The next 2 are going to be the 2 main bank doors, so the one outside Speedcaller and the one outside the bowling alley. Make sure to keep both of these doors closed for the retirement strategy. Then you might be thinking, with these doors closed, how do I get inside the bank? All you have to do is blow up this debris on the bank rooftop, come up to this window and just walk up to it. You should then get the prompt to blow up the ice cream shop debris from inside the bank. Once you've done that, just drop down off the rooftop, enter the ice cream shop, and you should be able to enter the bank with both of them doors closed. The weapons that you're going to want for this strategy is of course going to be the Jetgun. As well as that, I'd recommend the Patter Punch GS45 pistols. If you want to save yourself 9,000 salvage, you can just buy these off the wall once they turn legendary. If you do this, I'd recommend just using some lower rarity GS45 pistols up until then. And now we're going to move on to the early round strategy. So for the first 30 rounds, I'd actually recommend camping in front of the zipline we kept closed. This is just because the zombies seem to come at you a little bit faster here. And also the most annoying part about this strategy, camping right where I am right now, is the fact that the Manglers shoot you when they spawn in. But the Manglers in these rounds are going to be very weak, and they also don't come that often. After round 30 is when you start to get the Mangler spam. So for that, I'd recommend switching over to camping at the other zipline, which I'm going to show you in a little bit here. But for the first 30 rounds, this should be more than manageable camping right here, and if you have Rampage and Juice active, the rounds are going to go by very quickly. I'd also recommend buying ammo at the end of each round, even if you still have half the ammo left in your pistols. Points aren't going to be an issue throughout this strategy, so you might as well just keep buying ammo at the end of each round. And then from rounds 31 plus, I'd recommend camping inside the zipline spot right here. It may start to get a little bit tricky holding off with the pistols in these rounds, so what I'd recommend doing is, on one round, using your Frenzy Guard field upgrade, and on the next round when you don't have that field upgrade active, I'd recommend throwing a Casimir grenade. This should be no problem with the Picky Eater augment on Vulturade. You should always pretty much have 2 Casimirs on your body. If anything, you might just be throwing Casimirs every round, if you're lucky enough to get a lot of drops. And you can do this strategy up until about round 40, round 45 if you really want to push it. But if you are having problems doing this, you can just move on to the high round strat early. So for this round, I'm going to use a Casimir to help us get through the round. As you see, I have no Frenzy Guard charged up right now. So I would recommend timing the Casimir with when a Mangler is coming in, maybe wait for 2 Manglers. That way it just takes the pressure off you immediately. Another thing to help during this strat is you can just shoot 1 pistol at a time. That way you never get overrun whilst you're reloading, because you're always able to shoot the whole time. So as you can see, I'm shooting the right side pistol first, and then I'm going to shoot the left side. If you do start to get pushed back a little bit, you can do a double shot every now and then. And even on round 41, this is pretty much no problem holding off. I did have to buy ammo mid-round there, but that's the round done. The rounds go by really quickly up here. Moving on to the first part of the high round strategy, which is going to be the salvage gaining strategy. This is going to take place on top of the bank rooftop where we just done the latter part of the early round strat, and pretty much we're only going to be using the Jetgun, Casimirs and free kill streaks dropped by the Manglers to kill the zombies and allow us to build up enough salvage for our retirement plan, which I'm going to show you a little bit later on in the video. Whenever you have an energy mine turret, just pop it, and as you just seen, it does like 20% damage of the Mangler's health, which is really nice. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, you can have up to 3 energy mine turrets placed down on the map at the same time, so if all 3 of them turrets decide to target one Mangler, that Mangler just gets deleted. Now as you can see, I'm barely using any ammo in the Jetgun. There's a couple strategies to use the Jetgun. The first of which is just tap firing using the right trigger. And then you can burst fire with the right trigger as well if you want to be a little bit safer, but you're going to burn through ammo quite quickly doing that. But what I'm doing right now is, I'm tap firing the left trigger, which typically would blow up the Jetgun, but I'm not holding it down for long enough for it to actually blow up the Jetgun. And also, the timing is a little bit weird doing this, because if you tap it a little bit too fast, the second burst of the tap will actually do no damage. So the timing on this is quite tough, but if you get it right, it makes it so you literally consume no ammo and you can shoot the Jetgun forever. But if you do have difficulty doing this, I would recommend just tap firing the right trigger, as there's pretty much no timing involved in this. Just tap it as fast as you can, and it is pretty efficient at holding off that way. However, it is worth trying to master the left trigger though, I will say that. So when it comes to using Casimirs during this strategy, unless there's an abundance of them, I'd recommend just spamming them. But I'd recommend just holding onto them and waiting for a bunch of Manglers to spawn in, especially past round 100. The game will just randomly throw 7 Manglers in a row at you. And it can be a lot for your energy mine to deal with and your Jetgun. So at that point, I'd recommend throwing a Casimir grenade somewhat near the barrier spawn, and then it'll easily take care of all the Manglers. Another thing too, I feel like I heard Insomnia Virus say this, and it seems to be true. If you have no Casimirs in your loadout, it seems that the drop rate is slightly worse compared to if you had one in your loadout. Therefore, I'd always recommend keeping one Casimir in your inventory. And even if it's not true, it's just nice having that extra one there if you ever get in a bad situation. So when it comes to taking out the Abomination during the strategy, I would recommend just pulling out a kill streak and taking him out that way. As long as you have a chopper gunner or a mutant injection on you, you should be able to take him out no problem whatsoever. And because of this, I would recommend always trying to keep one of them 2 kill streaks on your body at all times. Not only is it going to be good for taking out the Abomination when he spawns in, but you can also use them to save your life too. Now when it comes to the insta-kills with this strategy, ideally what I'd recommend doing is trying to spawn kill all the wall climb up locations, because the animation for these zombies that climb up these walls takes so long. It's like 5 seconds for them to get over the wall. So if possible, try and shoot a Mustang and Sally shot at each one of these wall locations, but this might be a bit tricky to do. So alternatively, what I'm going to show you after this insta-kill is you can just shoot the ground with the Mustang and Sallies at the zipline in front of you. And this is just going to be a very easy way to charge up your Jetgun if it's low and get through the round pretty easily. Now when it comes to using the chopper gunner throughout this strategy, I would recommend focusing your attention on the wall spawns and killing them over and over. There will be times where you get a big cluster of vermin beside the rooftop, and if that cluster is big enough, then it can be worth taking them out too. But apart from that, just focus all of your attention on the wall spawns and that one barrier spawn to really maximise the amount of kills you get during your chopper gunner. For using the mutant injection on the rooftop, I'd recommend just standing in the middle of all the spawns and meleeing away. It is slightly faster to shoot a cannon shot at the 3 furthest away wall climbing spots, so I would recommend doing that every now and then. And now once you've done all of that hard work throughout your game, you can retire to this mutant injector spamming strategy to burn all of that hard earned salvage. This is going to take place inside the bank, and this is going to be the fastest way to progress through the rounds. Now there's only 3 spawns inside the bank. There's a spawn to my left inside the ice cream shop, there's a spawn to my right beside Jug, but for some reason this middle spawn spawns the bulk of the zombies. So whilst you're in your mutant injector, you want to prioritise shooting a cannon inside this spawn, and then just do a melee to wipe out everything else alongside you and repeat this process. Shoot a cannon melee, shoot a cannon melee. If you ever get barged out the way from a Abomination or a couple Manglers, just take a second to prioritise them and then return back to this process. Once you're almost out of your mutant injection, just head over to the ice cream shop. This should clear out a path for you to head over to the crafting bench, craft another mutant injection, do a loop back around to get to the bank safely, and then from this point just pop another injection, or if it's almost the end of the round, another thing you can do is just leave the Mangler injection and finish off the round with the Jetgun inside the bank. And finally, I'm going to send you away with a few tips before I end the video. The first of which being, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you've overheated your Jetgun, just take the zipline back to spawn, and then just wait around for a few seconds before heading back on the zipline, and then by the time you head back, your Jetgun should be fully charged. This is much better than just dropping down off of the rooftop, because you don't have to worry about waiting for the zombies to climb back up to the rooftop, because they'll all just respawn as soon as you get back to this rooftop via the zipline. The next tip is going to be speeding up your game just a little bit more. So there's a vermin spawn that spawns miles away from the camping spot, and to take this vermin out a little bit quicker, all you have to do is just put an energy turret here and it should kill him as soon as he climbs up to the rooftop. And finally, a lot of you guys know this by now, the fast vermin round spot is inside this C9 alley. What I recommend doing is just shoot in the ground right where I am right now with Mustang and Sally, one bullet at a time, and then you shouldn't have to worry about running out of ammo for a long time when you're doing these vermin rounds. And that's going to be it from me, so if this video helped you out, be sure to leave a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.